This is where it all started for me from the standpoint of growing up in church. We used to walk 2 miles or better to church, and this location I'm standing at now is where I got baptized at. There was an old schoolhouse where my mom went to school at, her and her sisters and brothers. And you'll see later on, the annex to the church is the old school. Years ago, they had annexed it to the church. But here's where I got baptized at an outside pool. I can remember it. It was at least 10 of us that got baptized here that Sunday. My brother and I were baptized together, Roy. But as you can see, this is where it all started for me. Coming to Sunday school, I said, we would walk. My mother would literally walk us out here to church, high heels and all. But the blessing was my grandfather would come and pick us up after Sunday school. And we didn't do this not every other Sunday. We was in Sunday school every Sunday. And my mom was the Sunday school teacher. So she made sure that we understood what Jesus was about. He was about love and being a servant. And that's where we are. That's where we are now. And that's where we'll always be. This is where my parents are buried at. And it's interesting when you think about the schoolhouse, and see what gets lost when you're married. My name's Willie Edward Burns, but when you start tracing when you marry, the woman loses her maiden name. But my mother was a Danner, but my grandparents, my grandmother was a Walton, Annie Mae Walton. And if you check, my great aunt was Hattie Walton. That's Andrew Jackson, Booker Jackson, the Jackson family. Their mother and my grandmother were sisters. But you go and check, my grandmother, my great grandmother, my dad's mother, my grandfather's mother, was a Calloway, but she married a Smith. But my grandfather was a Danner, true and blue. He was our idol. And my grandmother, they took care of us as we growed up along with my mother, because my mother was a young mother and my dad was in the military. So they basically took care of us as a family. That's where we get where my parents, but my mother and her sister Annie Rucker, they raised us like we were sisters and brothers. So it's a close connection between the Rucker family and the Burns family because of that Danner relationship, and we're close to the Waltons, and they're buried out here too. So this is a strong family church. The Cullors family is out here, so it's a lot of history out here at Mount Nebo Baptist Church, and I cherish it. I love my Mount Nebo family. I wouldn't be where I am without that, and I appreciate that.